If you share my fascination with spies, likely ignited by watching James Bond or Austin Powers movies, you might have wondered if you could handle the covert and perilous life of a spy. Today, we'll uncover 5 ways you could be recruited into the world of espionage. Number 5. Volunteer. This might sound weird, but you can pretty much do tests that are constructed as recruitment exams by spy agencies all over the world. And if you're wondering how easy it is, you can literally find recruitment programs online that will test you and allow you to apply to a spy agency. In fact, they are so easy to come by that we have prepared a practice test that is like something you would find during your interview. So, are you ready? Let's begin with a standard verbal reasoning question. Read this passage before I show you the options. Now, according to the passage you just read, answer the following with either true, false, or cannot say. It is possible that permanent staff who are on holiday can have their work carried out by students. The answer is true. Students in summer employment are given the same paid holiday benefit as permanent staff. The answer is false. Students are subject to the organization's standard disciplinary and grievance procedures. The answer is cannot say. Let me know how many you got correct in the comments down below. Now, don't go doing the happy dance just yet. This is a questionnaire in its simplest form, and you will probably be asked something tougher. But answering something like this correctly does show that you may have the skills required to become a spy. Number 4. Get recruited. This might not seem shocking, but super secret agencies take great care when picking their employees. So, if your diet consists of 27 Big Macs a day, count yourself out. Aside from standard favorite skills, there are some interesting requirements when it comes to work for a spy agency. If you fit these requirements, and the ones mentioned later on in the video, chances are that a spy agency may reach out to you in the future and try to recruit you into their network. First off, you have to be completely clean, and I mean dry cleaned and double pressed. If you ever so much as stole a candy bar, apart from getting a stern lesson from the guys interviewing you, you will be rejected on the spot. You're also far more likely to be recruited if you have a university degree from a top university and come from a military background. This is because military personnel already have a lot of the training necessary to become a spy, and it saves the agency a lot of training time. But the agencies will also take into account a lot of unusual things, like focusing on your monetary status. Basically, debt is bad. Very bad. You're okay if you have just a little bit, but if you apply with a serious amount of debt, then you're out of the picture. The reason for this is actually pretty simple. You would be a huge liability to them. Think about it. If you have a lot of debt, you could be a prime target for counter-espionage groups that will try and blackmail you into working with them, using your debt as leverage by offering you a lot of money to become a double agent, and money isn't the only check they make. If you're a bit too fond of something in life, you can bet that enemy spies will find a way to use that against you. But if according to all of this, you think you have what it takes, good luck at your interview. Number 3. Getting turned. To start off, there's a very big difference between officers and agents in the spy world. Officers are people who actually work for a living with the spy agency. So, they have to do all the boring paperwork and possibly have desk jobs, which require them to filter through lots of information related to cases each day. But an agent can be anyone, even your next-door neighbor that plays the Russian anthem every morning. So how do they grab these average Joes off the street and get them to work for the agency? Simple mice and no, they don't coat their genitals in cheese for mice to attack as a sort of torture technique. MIC is an acronym that stands for money, ideology, compromise, and ego. What this means is, agents usually try to charm or threaten somebody into working for them. The simplest example of this would be the age-old art of blackmail, and going the same way the media is these days. We can use Russian spies as an example here. You don't have to go very deep into research in order to find some of their nasty acts. For example, in 2010, Russian agents tried to blackmail Gareth Williams by threatening to expose sexual photographs of him. This failed to work though, so they later murdered him. Just goes to show the dangers these people expose themselves to. Russia may be the world's most gangsterish nation, but pretty much every government is probably guilty of this sort of stuff. We could talk about the CIA and the things they have done for the sake of freedom in the past, but if you think YouTube is pretty tough when it comes to demonetization for swearing, what do you think they would do to us if we divulged government secrets? Number 2. Being really clever. This might sound like a no-brainer, but intelligence agencies have a knack for finding extremely clever people and picking them up. While nobody really knows exactly how they plan and snatch the clever ones, a lot of people online have speculated about how and when this happens. The best example by far would be Cicada 3301. While you have probably heard of these guys and their interesting, albeit difficult, games that they post on the web, there is a lot of speculation as to what they're for. The puzzles they have mysteriously posted online focus heavily on data security, cryptography, and steganography. The most plausible theory so far is that they're actually recruiters for a spy agency, but nobody knows which one exactly. The methods they use for their games, and the games themselves, are an indication of a very powerful organization that probably has a government standing behind it. Another very convincing factor here is that the users who have solved or claim to have solved the games to completion have rarely been heard from again. Couple this with the fact that this organization has a knack for supporting values such as liberty and freedom of information, and Cicada clearly sounds like a group that is from a fairly democratic country. Looking at you, America, but sadly, nothing can be said for sure. If you're really curious, you can find all the games they posted previously online, but not all of the solutions are available. And who knows, if you solve one, maybe you might become a spy for them one day. Please remember that we were nice to you always, and don't spy on us. Number 1. Blend in. What do you think a spy looks and acts like is all wrong. Stop thinking of James Bond. A spy can't necessarily hop on any private jet they want, or sleep with any woman with ease, or drive any sports car they want. By and large, spy agencies tend to prefer to recruit people who blend in. It'll also go for the interesting and knowledgeable ones rather than those that just prove themselves to be clever. This is why spies are so good when it comes to getting secret information, because they don't stick out like a sore thumb. They won't raise suspicion because they have the experience to answer anything you ask of them, but possibly the most important trait they have is the ability to quickly adjust to the place they're spying on. The ones most likely to be recruited have taken the time to learn local customs, behaviors, and even the local language with correct accents. While this sounds like a bit too much, it is necessary because there have been incidents where spies have been caught simply because their accent was a bit off or they did something that didn't fit the traditions of the country. In fact, back in 2010, 10 Russian agents were arrested for alleged implications in covert operations against America. And how exactly did they get caught? They slipped up when it came to the English language, and they were immediately found out. There's actually a story circulating on the web which illustrates this point quite well. Written by a Quora writer who was almost recruited as a spy 5 years ago. He has subsequently deleted this post, and I shall not reveal his name or nationality for obvious reasons, but this is the story that he explained. He was visiting his home country from Malaysia, where he lived, and he was told to wait in a special area, even though he was a national of the country he was visiting. After waiting, he was greeted by a man and a woman who claimed to be from the Secret Service. Although they did not mention which one, they started questioning him and proved that they knew a whole lot about his personal life and his recent movements, and after an hour later, they gave him their business cards and told him that they might need some further information. As weird as this was, the very next day, he got a call from the woman, asking to meet up with further details, being provided at a later time. After waiting, he got a message to come to meet them at a local station and await further instructions. Now, this is where it sadly cuts off, as this person did the smart thing and questioned everything that was happening. It was then that he quizzed a friend who worked at an intelligence agency, who confirmed that he was likely being recruited as a spy. He was a well-educated graduate from one of the world's best universities, with a clean record, living and working unsuspiciously in a foreign country, the language of which you could speak, something a spy agency values highly. This just goes to show that a clean and controlled life can net you a license to kill or a desk job, one of the two. So, do you think you'd make a good spy? And does the life of a spy appeal to you? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.